So, as you know that we're doing a sculpture, we are asking teachers and students a few questions so we can get their opinion on a bit about like where it should be located, what colours should be included, stuff like that. So the first thing we're hoping to do is ask you a few questions, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the teachers we said, do you feel that Cranfield is wasting a lot of energy, and if so, what do you think is the main source of that?
The answer to you is yes. To your first question, yes, we do think we get a complete, very worrying amount of energy.
Our gas and electricity bills are huge, into 6 figures. Okay, so it's an opportunity for big cost savings to the school, which then means that money that's saved can then be spent on doing things to do with your learning, for example, which would be a big positive thing. And also, of course, an environmental issue.
We know that the number of computers left on overnight and the lights left on, things like that, creates our electricity bill as it, in the way it does. We've actually put some PRIs in many areas of the school, which are the people response.
Infrared.
Infrared.
So basically, the lights come on when you walk into the room, so they detect that. So, for example, in DT, there's the toilets, there are some corridors, any areas that have been refurbished recently in the past 2 years, they've all got that in there.
Okay. So we've come up with 3 ideas of sculptures, but what one would you prefer to see around the school, or would you prefer these ones to be like joined together to make one really good one? So the first one is like an energy wasting fountain. Sajan, would you like to describe that because it's your idea?
The energy wasting fountain would be basically a fountain which would be displayed in public somewhere, possibly at the front of the school, to gather attention. And the idea how it would look is a fountain with water continuously flowing out of it, but at the same time glue hundreds of batteries to it to show the amount of water we waste in school, and at the same time the amount of energy we waste.
So can I clarify that? Are you saying that the fountain wouldn't be a fountain of water as such? It would look like a fountain, but the water would be represented by the batteries, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So it would be a physical structure.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's interesting.
The other option is?
Well, I was thinking, we were thinking of creating like a light bulb, which is half on, half off, which is going to be connected with batteries to show how much energy is being wasted.
So so in other words, it would have some sort of meter that would clock up how much energy, etc., is being wasted. So it'd be like almost like a living sculpture, if you like. Okay.
And another new one that we've come up with is like earth problems. So it'd be like a big globe with a few different problems coming out, like computers being left on and lights being left on, just things like that.
Can I clarify that for the vision? I'm not a visual thinker. So you'd have a globe with physical things coming out of the globe, like a computer screen, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, go on.
Yeah, but like made out of boxes and stuff. To make, so it's not a proper one, but it's good. So it's like a bit more visual.
Are those the 3 options?
Yeah.
Because I like all of them. And I think they all have value. And if you're wanting to put them in different areas around the site, the message is very clear from all 3, and that perhaps that's what you should perhaps be thinking about, is using all 3, because they're giving the same overall message, which is about don't waste energy, but they're actually dealing with different types of wastage of energy.
And they're all coming from slightly different angles, which is an important thing, because it is not just one dimension. You know, there's lots of different things.
And if you have it only in one place, that prompting, that memory prompt, which is what you want to do, is only in one area. Do you understand what I mean? But if you have it in different places around the school, you have a constant where people go,
As you know, it's environmentally friendly sculpture. We was thinking about different materials that we could use. But then we had to also consider about if it was located here with this material, if it rained, it was likely to get soggy. So what sort of materials do you think we should use to create these sculptures?
It's got to be continuing, I think, the reuse, recycle sort of idea. So I think recycled and reused materials and using them in a sort of creative way.
Have you seen the ones at the Sixth Form Study Centre and obviously the fountain at the front of the school? That's made of bicycle parts, recycled bicycle parts. And I think perhaps you should research on the internet under the question, materials, recycled materials used for sculptures, okay? And see what's out there, what people have already used. It's got to be weatherproof, it's got to be durable. If it's metal, it needs to be protected in some way because it'll go rusty and therefore it'll lose its impact. And it's got to be something that is going to be visually striking as well. So I think you need to do quite a lot of research on the sort of materials you're going to use and a way of protecting them, because I do think that if they're going to be of any value in a long-term basis, they need to be looking good all the way along. Okay. You think that one outside the school, that must be 6, 7 years old, something like that now? Yeah. And it's slightly rusted, which is inevitable, but it's still got its original coating on it, even though it's recycled bicycle parts.
So your idea of the batteries, clearly they'd have to be protected in some way with a coating, because otherwise you'd actually end up with doing environmental damage with the battery acid leaking and everything else. But it is possible. It is possible.
Or it might be that you don't actually use physical batteries because of the environmental impact, but that you use some other material to create the image of the battery that you then use artwork on, or you might work in DT or whatever, so that you can. So it's a very visible sign of a battery.
If you put batteries, if you could put them in, for example, clear resin.
Yeah, that's true.
And that would, you get your image and you get your clear, and you might actually be able to create the model out of resin, and that would give you the sort of flow of water, or the appearance of the sort of water fountain with the batteries in it.
I was thinking, sir, that we should make more than one of the sculpture, and one for the public and students, and one for the teachers area, because teachers need to be reminded.
Yes.
I absolutely agree. So again, that would then impact on size, wouldn't it? Maybe that's a consideration. Oh, is that one of your questions? Okay, sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, I was just going to ask that about what do you think about sizes for the sculptures, and if we thought about the sizes, where do you think they would be seen better around the school?
I think a really good place for the sculptures is the entrance as you come in, the fence, the other side of that fence, because everyone who comes into the school comes that way. Even if they come from the car park, they still sort of see that area. And at the moment it's there's nothing really there. And I think that would be you could almost have a little sculpture park there, if you wanted to put them all there, or alternatively you could dot them around.
I think because when you're making a structure of any kind, obviously the head teacher would need to have input into what it looks like. I think that's really important, and also where it's finally placed, because of course, with the school design itself, I think he would have a view of where things would go. If you're going to put them inside the building, that really depends on which area you're putting them into. If it's a large area, then the size of the sculpt is less problematic. If it's a smaller area, then that's where the problems might arise, because you have to think about things like health and safety. Is it going to collect dust? Which I know sounds like but that's an impact to the environment. So you need to have do some research on that, I think.
As a school, we have got lots of outside space and not so much inside space. So that that can maybe help you to with your thoughts.
Yeah, and our final question would be like, what sort of colours do you think should be included in the sculpture?
Me personally, I'm a bright colour person, you can think so from my red today, but I am a very bright coloured, you know, I like striking, vibrant colours. That's what I like. But then we also have to be mindful that it's a school context and you may want to incorporate the school colours within that. But for me, bright colours every time.
I think it's depending on what materials you're going to use. I think that will determine it. And if you're using recycling materials, I think in some ways that's going to determine what the colour's going to be. So don't have a particularly strong